Hello and welcome to Nolan Financial Radio. My name is Chris McKinney from Nolan Financial Partners. If you'd like more information about what you're here during our show today, give us a call at 719-210-4242 or visit us online at nolanfinancialpartners.com. And while at our website, click on the radio page, check out our past shows, and subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Many people think that investing is only something you do during your career while you're working, when your goal is to pile up enough assets to help you retire and enjoy your preferred lifestyle. But in truth, there's no reason you can't keep investing after you fully kick back and embrace the retirement lifestyle. After all, the more you grow your finances, the better off you're likely to be in retirement. But before we get to our topic, I want to introduce you to my co-host, Tony Shore, who is this show, who always keeps investing, and because he's so essential.
I don't know about that. Are you calling me crazy? Was that it
Crazy.
For our YouTube viewers? He was. The finger went to the side of the head. He was twisting it. I was muted. Show prep. Yeah.
What's the mute symbol in this, or is it crazy?
For me, it's crazy. Chris, I've been doing good. Thanks for having me on your show. Obviously, this is an important topic. It's a question I've had. I've talked to people about it. So,
yeah.
Yep. And I appreciate the sentiment that you're going to always keep investing in me. That's great.
Yes.
Or putting up with me, I think is the way you should have phrased that. But, a lot of people assume, I think, Chris, that we're supposed to stop worrying about investing once we're retired. We don't even have to think about it. But obviously, a lot of people's money is still tied to the markets, or maybe they should be moving stuff around and paying attention to that. I know you're going to give us some great tips and strategies today. But first, what have you been up to? I know that you and Tara left the beautiful God's country, Colorado Springs, to go to Iowa City.
Yeah, we recently visited Tara's brother, Michael. He's married. He's got two girls, two beautiful daughters.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're the oldest is going to be starting high school soon. So it's wow, she's getting better. But she is an amazing singer. We were listening to her, and she can elocute at such an amazing through 2.5 octaves.
Wow.
So she can really belt it out. It was amazing to hear her sing. She's
neat.
Quite the lungs on her to keep that going, right? Singing so much is a physical thing to do.
Is.
To be able to hold those notes and do that thing, I could never do that.
Yeah, you have to exercise. You have to really work at it and know it's. It comes naturally to some people, but it's still work. You have to know how to exercise your diaphragm and really utilize it. It's amazing. People who can sing really well. Lots of people sing, but not a lot of people sing really, really well.
Right.
And can do that.
And a lot of people, when they start getting some volume, they get pitchy and you lose the ability to create words.
Yep.
And she did not. So
that's pretty impressive. That's a fun trip.
So the reason we were there was because Tara's mother is moving from West Virginia to Iowa City.
Oh.
She's downsizing her house. Her house in West Virginia was a beautiful house, beautiful location, but it was a lot to maintain. And just her and Ernie there, her husband, in this about 3,000 square foot house with 2 cabins, and it was this whole property. So it was very expensive to maintain. So they're going to move and downsize a little bit in houses and move to Iowa City, where they can also get more predictable health care. They won't have to drive hours so sometimes they have to drive like 2.5 hours to get the health care they need from where they live. So that's challenging when you start looking at retirement is, am I close to medical services that I'm probably going to need? And so they're making the adult decision to move to Iowa City, where they've got family close by. They're going to live less than a mile away from her oldest son, and then she's going to be able to get to healthcare. There's a university hospital. There's everything. All the healthcare is there. So
there's a lot of kids in Tara's family too. So he must
yeah,
that the oldest lucked out, huh? He got the
yeah,
he could have moved close to a lot of different kids.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, he's stepping up. I mean, he's that kind of guy. He's a
That's
really
good.
good guy. He was a
That's good.
F-16 pilot in the Air
Oh,
Force,
wow.
and
Yeah, that's
so
impressive.
he's a really bright guy and understands the world, and
That's
so
good.
he stepped up as the kind of the oldest son of.
Plus, Iowa's probably a pretty good place to retire, to be honest. I mean, I
It
grew up
is.
in the Midwest. I grew up 5 miles from the Iowa border in Minnesota.
Well,
So
and Iowa City is kind of it's a little kind of a nice
more
little
culture.
place.
Yeah, there's
A lot of
a little more
culture there.
culture. People would be
Yeah,
surprised, I think, by Iowa City. Think because you have a picture of Iowa, but Iowa City is kind of a
it's a little
little bit
different.
of a hipster place. There's some culture there and some
Right.
great restaurants, and yeah.
And then we went on a hike, and we were hiking in this wooded area, and there were hills,
Yeah.
and the people that put it together is a private hiking spot, and everybody pays a small fee to get to use it for the year.
Oh,
It's like
wow.
it's like $30 for a year, right? It's cheap, but it's a private park, and so it's you, and then all these trails. They've got stones set up that they got from Malaysia, is kind of an energy vortex there. It's they probably have the largest cottonwood tree I've ever seen. It's
Oh,
just an
yeah.
amazing little park. There's a pond. There's ducks and
Nice.
animals and things, and it's just a really nice little park that I didn't expect to see in Iowa.
Yeah, there you go. That's cool. That's really cool. So, let's talk about whether retirees need to worry about investing once they're retired. Where do
Well,
you want to start?
first, retirees always worry about investing.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
true.
why? Because they're not making any more money, and so they've got to take the money that they have when they retire and start to spend it. So
Hmm.
now that thing that they were happy to watch grow and happy to put money into, now they're not putting money into it, and now they're going to spend it. So now they start worrying about spending their little golden nest egg. And
Hmm.
so um now the thing is, most people are retiring about 65, right? Why do people retire at 65? Because of Medicare. They can get Medicare coverage for they don't need health care from their employer. So 65 is where most people are retiring right now. So but the thing is, there is a 50% chance, almost a 50% chance that one out of a couple will live to be 95. So that's 30 years of life ahead of at least one of you that they're going to need that money to last.
Yeah.
Well, and if you take all that money and you put it into something that is not moving with the times, something that doesn't keep up with inflation, something that's not really growing, then
Hmm.
you can exhaust that. So there's a right mix. Um, you're for the longevity that you're going to have. It's also an opportunity, right? So that opportunity is
Right.
to have an investment that can sit and earn while you're drawing off things that what we call income type investments. So then you want growth type investments, you want income type investments, so that you can pay your monthly expenses. You can still go on that vacation, but then your money can still grow for later down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to have some growth, obviously, with your money for retirement. So you can't give it up. You can't take it all out of the market. But
No.
on the other hand, so many people enter retirement with everything
Yes.
in the market because their 401ks, their IRAs, it's all in the market if they haven't done any planning or balancing going into retirement. If they're not working with somebody like yourself, it's probably all in the market and maybe even all in stocks or all in high risk.
Right. And so there's a lot of cautionary tales about having all your money in the market when the time you retire. So at 2001, I knew a Delta pilot. He retired. His $2 million nest egg turned instantly into $1 million.
Yikes.
Right. Because Delta, most of it was in Delta stock because he hadn't done
Company
anything with
stocks.
his 401k. And everybody knows what happens to airline stocks in 2001.
Yeah.
So and then all the stocks were going down. We had a 42% drop in the market between 2000 and 2002. So people were losing about half of their savings. And if you can't have somebody that's not exposed to that loss, and then you're having to spend that loss, right? So you're capturing your downturn by turning it into cash and spending it. You can't wait that out and wait for it to come back. Then it changed a lot of people's career path. They had to go back to work in the early 2000s. There were people who had to go back to work after 2008 because they had retired that year, and then all of a sudden they lost 30 to 50% of their portfolio.
Yeah. But the answer isn't not to have that money in the market. The answer is not to get out of the market. The answer is because people in 2001, 2008, and then around 2020 with COVID, those three things, so many people lost so much money, but those who were able to just leave what they had in the market in and ride it out for a year. In some cases, it was just a year. And in another case, it was just over 2 years. They would have not only did they not lose, they came out ahead after it was all said and done because the market hit record highs. But in order to do that, if you're retired, you have to have a couple years worth of income somewhere else, right?
That's right. You've got to have something, what we call a safe money account. You got to have money that is not influenced by outside.
It has principal protection.
Yeah.
So your principal can't go down, right?
You want to protect your wealth in a way that other people can't tell you what's going to happen to it.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Exactly.
Some emotional response by the market to noise about tariffs can't send your retirement life into a tailspin.
Yeah.
So that's what we guard against.
Yes, and that's what you do. You come up with plans for people to get them through retirement, to help their money last as long as they do. So you're not pulling money out when the markets are way down or pulling too much out. Right. So, and it used to just be, well, I've got diversity. I've got bonds. It used to be 60-40 rule used to work for everybody. And that, the last, I'd say 10 years, that proved wrong. When we had in 2022, when the market had a down year, the bonds also had a down year. So the inverse yield curve or whatever it is can really be problematic for people there.
And that 60-40 idea came out of the 70s and 80s, back when you used a broker and your broker actually bought you the bond. You own the bond. Yes. Well, now nobody owns bonds. They buy mutual funds that invest in bonds. So now that mutual fund is traded, and so now they are acting just like mutual funds that have less.
It's a little more like stocks. It's not as secure.
It's not. Yeah.
A little more risk.
So there's more risk, and so it
Yeah.
goes down. It doesn't go down as much as equities do, but then it also doesn't go up as much as equities do.
Right.
So your risk reward is less, but it's still not zero. And so
Yeah.
we look for options that create maybe some zero. How about some zero risk,
Yeah.
right? So that we don't have that time where we're which causes angst about selling a mutual fund or selling, a bond fund or something that's because it went down, but I've got to pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
So how am I going to do that?
Yeah. And meanwhile, you can let your stuff in the stock market ride because you still
That's
have
right.
time even in retirement, you have time on your side.
That's right.
Maybe not quite
So
as much, but you have time on your side. I mean, when you first retire, it's not like the year you retire, you're going to be, I don't have time. I can't leave my money in the market because I don't have time for a rebound.
right.
Most people are spending 20 years in retirement at least.
At least, right. So
Yeah.
most people are going to live to about 85, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the median expected age. But
Yeah.
then like I said, probably one out of two in your couple is going to live to be 95. And now there's only a 1 in 5 chance of making it to 100. So there's not a really good chance to make it to 100, but the chances of you making it into to 85, 90, that they're getting better.
Yeah, they are. And a lot of people on my dad's side of the family did make it to 100. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. I have great grandparents, my grandpa, a lot of aunts and uncles on that side that made it to 100. And on my mom's side, a lot have made it to at least their late 80s or 90s. So, yeah.
Right. My dad made it to 87, and he had been on high blood pressure medicine since he was in his 30s.
Hmm.
So our health care has gotten really good about identifying problems that are going to kill us and getting ahead of them.
Hmm.
Like
Wow.
heart conditions, they really have started to nail those down. And then there's so many medical medicine that helps extend our heart life. So people are living longer when maybe they didn't so before, in the 50s.
Yep. Yeah, people are living longer. And I've made this comment before. I always like to say the good news is people are living longer. The bad news is we're living longer.
We're living
Right?
longer.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is an important topic. So how does a financial professional like yourself, how do you help your clients with this issue of how much do I keep in the market? If our listeners are out there going, well, how do I know? How do I know when I retire how much I'm going to need in the market, or what to do with money? Where do I come up with money if I retire and it's 2008, 2009, or there's another black swan event like 2020, or we have a
Right.
down year like 2022 and the market's down 20, 30%. What do? I can't pull my $50,000 I need to live on that year out of that account, or whatever the amount is, whether it's 30,000 or 100,000. If you pull it out of the $100,000 out of your retirement account and it's all in the markets and it's a down year, you're going to run out of money pretty quick.
That's right, Tony. If you don't have a thoughtfully well built, well diversified portfolio that includes something that is not going to be responsive to market forces, um, you're going to have a more volatile ride, right? So in retirement, and that's not what you want in retirement. You just want to have a nice, smooth ride through retirement where market's down, I'm okay, I'll take my money from over here.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a nice blend of stocks, maybe something to invest in government bonds, bills, those kind of thing.
Sure.
Maybe there's some other kind of vehicles
Sure.
that can
There's
create.
buffered index portfolios now where you get downside protection and you still get some upside.
That's right.
There's safe money options, like a MYGA or a fixed index annuity. That's a really popular one with a lot of the baby boomers who've been retiring or are
That's
retired.
right. And they have they have a lot of guarantees with them, which stock markets don't. So
Yeah.
th-
And the
that's a,
guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, but you as an independent advisor, the good news is
yeah,
you get to look at all the insurance companies. The problem is if
that's
you
right.
go to a big bank or one of these big box national companies, they have their own products and they're going to try to fit you into that. They're not
That's right.
going to be able to look at all the options out there. Hey, I want little or no fees. I want the best return
Right.
possible. I want to work with A-rated companies because these guarantees are based on the claims paying abilities. I want to work with a company that's has a really good rating, and you can look at all that and do what's in your client's best interests. And I know that's what you do, and I think that's
That's what
really
we do.
great. Yeah,
Right. So we really target having secure way for people to have money in retirement for
yeah,
whatever they're doing. I recently put together a plan. So I had a couple, and they had pretty much all the money they needed for their expenses through their various pensions and Social Security, those kind of things.
sure, that's good.
But retirement is more than about just paying your expenses. It's also about having fun and doing things.
Sure,
And so, um, well, come to find out, they went to a celebrity cruise recently. Well, I've been on a celebrity cruise recently, so we kind of bonded over that.
yeah,
And then they said, "Well, we want like to keep that going." I'm like, "Okay, great." So we created a fund that's going to buy them a cruise every year, a nice one. Um, and they're going to go on a cruise every year, and they don't have to worry about where that money's going to come from ever again. It's going to be right there,
yeah.
and they don't have to worry if the market's going up or going down or what it's doing. They have the money that they need to go on their cruise.
Because it's not money isn't coming from high risk stocks that might be
No,
down. Yeah,
that's right. That's
yeah.
right. Now
It's
we
not
still
coming from their stock market
we
accounts.
we still have equity built for them so that they have an over the top
Growth.
coverage growth and something that keeps up with inflation and does all that. But we also have this other vehicle that's providing a nice return, and it's steady. It's going to be a steady Eddie kind of income for them.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's really important. And I'm glad. I mean, these are real world stories that real experiences. And this is
Yeah.
what you do for people, Chris. And I think that's
Yes.
fantastic. And I hope our listeners understand how important it is to have a plan in place. So the answer is, should you keep investing in retirement? Yes, obviously, you're going to need growth. The answer is
Yes.
yes, you need growth. However, there's always a but in there, isn't there?
That's right.
However, you need a plan, and you don't want to go to somebody whose only solution to that plan. The problem is there are so many so-called financial professionals. People can call themselves a financial planner or a financial professional, and maybe they're just a maybe they're just work for a brokerage. So all they want to do is invest your money, right, in stocks and
That's right.
things that are at risk. And you can go to an insurance only person who's just going to try to sell you insurance products, and maybe they work for one particular company, so they're going to end up trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and you don't want that. You don't want cookie cutter answers.
No.
You want to go to a fiduciary who is responsibility, a financial fiduciary who is an independent advisor who's looking out for your best interests, who's going to look at all the options and say, okay, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? Right? Am I right? Isn't that how you look at it?
That's how we look at it. Is our goal is to create the best retirement plan uh, that we can provide for our clients for right now and for next year and every year past that. So
Yeah.
we're not worried about what's going to happen just right now. And so we're always making sure that we look forward, and how can the money that you've worked so hard to create best serve them throughout their whole lives. And that's what we look at.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make sure that everybody has that feeling of security in retirement.
Yeah. And for the DIYers out there, they might think, okay, you've given me some basics. I think I could do this on myself. I'll watch some YouTube videos, watch some more of your videos. But what we haven't said here, you've laid out the overall plan for finances in retirement, but taxes, healthcare costs, and how do you plan for inflation? How do you plan for long-term care? I mean, taxes and healthcare are going to be your two biggest expenses in retirement.
Right. And then
with or without Medicare, that's you're going to pay out of pocket a lot of money, and a lot of people don't realize that. So are you planning for that? And how much have you planned for inflation each year? How are you going to cover that? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. And do you know how to maximize your Social Security and all the filing strategies and the spousal strategies? And what about your spouse and your family and your legacy? There's a lot more to the plans you do for people than just the investment side or just the insurance side, right?
Right. And then if you missed one, and that's the ticking time bomb of a large 401k or IRA.
Sure.
Yes. That can affect all those other things you just mentioned, because a lot of the things that happen for you are based on your income. And if your income changes, then how you get charged things get changed. Your taxes
that's where the tax comes in, is that ticking time bomb with 401ks and traditional IRAs, because it's fully taxable, the gains and everything you put into it.
That's right.
When it comes out in retirement, it's taxable. You could end up in a higher tax bracket. It could affect your Medicare costs. It could affect so many other things if it raises your income. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And so, right, because there's some tables that say how Medicare is going to charge you, and they're income based.
It is income based. People don't realize that.
Taxes are income based. Everything is income based when you get into retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, we're out of time.
Oh boy.
And a great show. Let our listeners know how to get a hold of you, Chris.
So you can reach us at 719-210-4242. We've set up some complimentary consultations. Give us a call, mention the radio show, and we'll get you to see us at our offices downtown. 719-210-4242. Check out our website, nolanfinancialpartners.com. It's our goal to help you prepare for the retirement you worked so hard for.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Chris, great show today. Loved it. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Nolan Financial Radio with our host, Chris McKinney.
Join us again soon for another episode of Nolan Financial Radio. Take care, and we'll talk to you again.